everybody. I'm Jeff from Fuller Embroidery Works, and we have Matt Enderly from Patchphrase. And today we will be going over how to make applique felt patches. I totally just didn't read that off the screen. But in case you guys weren't aware, my phone just buzzed, and that is because I got the notification that we are live on our channel from YouTube. So if you guys are on YouTube, please give us a like, a subscribe, and a follow so that you guys can hit the little bell icon and get notifications when we go live or we post a new video.
And you can see there are stats right now. Most of the people that are watching us right now are not subscribed. This number significantly got inflated because if you haven't noticed, we've been publishing shorts every single day for the past, what, week, 2 weeks?
Every single business day for the past 2 weeks, Monday through Friday.
So it's been increasing in the not subscribed. So we'd love to see everyone subscribe because we have a lot of content queued for posting. So and if you're looking for us, you can find us at the Embroidery Nerd on YouTube, and you can click subscribe there. And I think that's probably pretty good, and we should get to the regular scheduled programming.
Yep. I will just add that you can also go to links.embnerd.com. Matt just went to go grab that and pull it up on screen, or to type it in the comments. From there, you can find our Discord channel, our Facebook group, our YouTube channel, and pretty much anywhere we are, I guess, socially active. That's social media, right? We're socially. There you go. So we'll be at one of those places. If you guys do want to jump over and check out the rest of the content that we have. Yep. Facebook group, Facebook page, YouTube, Instagram. You know, you added the thread converter on there. So you guys can
actually, that's the old one. I got to update this page. It's slightly outdated.
But
it'll still redirect you to the actual thread converter.
The embroiderynerd.io, where the thread converter has migrated to. With a bunch of added features, if you guys are interested in that as well.
Pretty cool. It's free.
Yep. We also have a couple of shorts on it and a few more coming. But today we're going to be talking about how to make a applique felt patch. And Matt's going to be showing the process, and I'm going to be heckling from, well, I don't feel like I'm in the popcorn stands, but I guess I could be in the popcorn stands.
Yeah, that'll work.
All right, so I'll be heckling from here, and Matt will be going through the process. This is going to be from start to finish with digitizing. Am I correct?
Yeah, and actual sew of it. So it should be a pretty fun live. I'm going to go get my camera turned on, and Jeff can bring in the comments.
I'm going to bring in the comments while he goes turn his camera on. We have Ramona joining us saying, hello, I'm here. Sorry, I had to finish some patch work I was doing. Ramona's watching us from Rockford, Illinois. I knew that off the top of my head. We have Barb joining us from North Central Minnesota. And I'll be curious to see if Barb comes and joins us at the SPSI open house that me and Matt will be at next week. He did not. I think it's next week.
If not, we'll just be there early.
There you go. Where we'll be going over start to finish from how to make patches. And we'll actually be making patches in kind of a workshop fashion where you guys will go and do all the steps. So that'll be a lot of fun. I think it might be full, but it might not be full. So we'll see. Yeah, we have Sunrise Tactical Gear joining us. Seeing the short for the thread converter on YouTube. Awesome. Glad you're checking out the shorts. We put quite a few out there, and we've got quite a few scheduled to go out there. Significantly easier than long form videos. I promise you that. And Ramona says, speaking of patches, I want to make a better patch. I'm hoping to see some hints and tricks here. So possibly. But before we jump into it, I know I'm giving a lot of before we jumps into it, and I'm sorry. Before we jump into it, this was a live that was sparked by a question in our Facebook group. So if you guys have something that you want to see or you want to learn, you can post that in our Facebook group. Also in our Discord, we have suggest a live topic where we will grab topics from there, and we can go live on them and hopefully help you guys out. So if you guys want to see something that you haven't seen yet, go ahead and drop it in one of those 2 locations. And now I'll shut up. It's Matt's turn.
And here's the post that sparked this live. So yes, we are actually active in the Facebook groups, and we're looking at what people are, asking and stuff like that to drive these lives. So if you have recommendations, if you join our Discord, we have a post your recommendations for the Facebook lives, and we'll get to it. And I just clicked the wrong button, so I'm not going to recast my screen. All right. Boom, there it is. All right, so we are using Hatch today. One of the 13,000 pieces of software that the 4 of us actually, own.
We have accumulated.
Yeah, it's insane, the amount of monies that we've all spent on digitizing software. But what we're going to be talking about in this live today isn't specific to Hatch. I mean, it's going to be tailored to it because that's what I have it open in. But you will be able to do this in any software, whether it's in Brilliance, Embroidery Studio, DG, 17, any of them out there. I was debating Floriani or Hatch just to kind of do this at a more home or hobbyist level, and I just went with Hatch because it was installed since I reformatted my computer. So, yay!
It was called Flip a Coin. Oh wait, this one's installed.
One for being lazy. So if you use Hatch, congratulations, this is for you. So what exactly is this patch? So actually, let me answer the question to the Facebook post. So it was asking what type of material is it? That's really what it was. People gave the correct answer and everything, so could have just ended it there. But it was like, why not show how to actually do it? So a lot of people are saying you could use regular twill, you could use felt, you could do any type of material you wanted. And from what I saw in the picture and what you find on like Etsy, what other people are doing, a lot of it is like a felt or a was it fleece material?
The micro fleece.
Yeah. So it's the same material that the little I went in the way. The little nerd star guy right here is made out of. Why don't I just grab them instead of keeping them in under the stairs? So it's the same material as this cute little guy that Adam and Jeff made, which they are no longer making any of them. So sorry, but
either we should no longer make them or make a ton of them.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. But either way, it's the same type of material. And I have some right here, and this is just some white micro fleece type or felt. It's not really felt because felt is more like denser. This is more like one of them super lightweight throw blanket type material doodads. And that's what we're going to embroider on it. Now, if you're doing something like regular twill, these designs are really easy to digitize because you don't have to really worry about
the pile.
The pile. Yeah, I knew it was there, but for some reason I thought it started with an F. Unless the F is silent, like fuzz or something. I don't know. Yeah. I guess, yeah, fuzz. Maybe that's what I was thinking. I don't know. This is why we keep Jeff around. But yeah, so the pile, that's the actual fuzz that's on it. But with twill, you don't have that. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about. Because if you just digitize this design straight up without any of the special settings, it's going to look, I mean, it's not going to look bad, but it'll turn out like this first sample, which you really won't be able to see. I can probably bring it up on the other camera. Why don't I do that? That would make.
Oh wait, I just pulled you up full screen. There we go.
So hopefully you guys aren't going to get sick by me hand carrying the camera around.
Well, that's okay. That one's not up yet.
Okay.
Hold please, everyone. Nope. There we go.
So I don't know if you can see. I can grab the macro lens otherwise. But in between, yeah, let me grab the macro lens. Hold, please. And this is where Jeff takes over with commentary.
This is where Jeff takes over with commentary. Ramona has a good comment here. So fleece is a woven fabric with a fuzz. Felt is a pressed fiber, which makes a lot of sense. And there are varying degrees of felt because scrim felt is used for Letterman patches. It's a lot harder, more kind of cardboardy. Random facts. While we wait for Matt to focus the macro lens, I'm not going to pull that up on the screen so you guys don't get sick. I'll just get sick watching. All right. And there is Matt.
So you can see there's a lot of white sticking out. It's kind of jagged. This lens is really hard to manual focus, especially while hand holding. But you can see there's just kind of, especially right there in the center, it's just, it doesn't look bad, but we can make it better. So, all right, I'm going to back it up. So if you want to take it off the screen.
Okay. And it's off the screen. So as you can see, the fabric that we have has a little bit of pile to it. And Matt is going to address that in digitizing. So there are a couple of ways that you can deal with that kind of fuzz. And one of them is to use a water-soluble topper. There's two kinds of toppers. There's a water-soluble topper, and then there's another one that's like a heat-away kind of topper that you would hit with an iron. So the idea of those toppers is that it helps kind of hold down that pile and allows the stitches to sit on top of it. But it is something that you have to remove at the end of the embroidery.
And guess who doesn't have any of either of that? This guy. So we're doing it a different way instead of the recommended way, as Jeff just said.
Yeah.
So bringing up the software, I have this design. I'm going to show you a little bit of how it's set up. The first thing we got, I'm going to hide these two. The first thing we have is just kind of a generalized run. Where is your design actually going to be? This is so you're going to put just a cutaway stabilizer in the hoop and then run this. And then you're going to take your fleece or your felt or whatever, stick it on. And you just make sure it covers the whole thing. And then you sew your actual design on top of it. It's just kind of for location, making sure that your piece is big enough, stuff like that. You could run another one to tack it down if you want. I use, what is this, KK 100 from Gunold, just a lightweight sewing adhesive. It just kind of, it's very light tack, but it keeps stuff in place pretty well. And then
this is something that you could hoop
yes,
completely. If you're doing like a lot of them in one hoop, you could do that. But Matt's going to do it kind of applique style.
Yeah. And then the next part is the actual design. So I got this name here. And then once that's done, then you bring in your border. And the border isn't anything fancy other than that placement line that I had was in the dead center of the actual the border. That way it's completely covered and it's not visible. Ideal, you would do it the same color as your border, just for extra security. In my case, it's not, just for representation on the screen.
And if you put it a lot of times, if you put it as the same color, your machine may not stop at it. So
that's correct.
Where we use commercial machines, it doesn't necessarily recognize colors. It just knows that there's a color change. And so we can use that as an indicator to separate it, separate out the elements.
And that is a very valid point. I've never used a home machine before, so I haven't had to deal with a single needle and all that before. So I'm just going to start from scratch. What name should we do?
Good question.
We'll grab Barb. I did script 2 just because I don't want to. And I'm not mailing this to Barb. I'll give you the design.
You should. Hand deliver it.
Yeah, no thanks.
She's in Minnesota.
Well, I mean, if she's there, that's fine. So the basic thing is you're gonna have to pick your font that you want. Make sure that it's within the recommendations. Obviously, you don't want to use a font that is digitized specifically for small and you're blowing it up really big. Then you're gonna have issues with that. You're not gonna want to use a true type, right? True type font, because they're not properly digitized. Especially depending on what software you're using. Some are going to be better than others. Some just won't handle it very well.
Font designers, when they make a true type font, do not have embroidery in mind.
Yeah, they don't care. No. Especially them like spray paint stencil ones where it has like little drips, or like Halloween ghoul ones. Yeah, those are not embroidery friendly. But the basics are you're going to have your text, and now we want to create our outlines. Depending on what software you have, I know in Embroidery Studio, there's an add-on for like offsets or advanced offsets or something like that. Hatch has it built in. A lot of other software, they have different features or different names for it. But under Hatch, it is under...
Oh, man, I'm totally throwing you under the bus right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so a customer asked... if you look at the text between the A and the R, they don't quite line up exactly. So what would you, if somebody's doing this and it doesn't line up the way that they want, it doesn't look exactly how they want, how would they go about editing this so that it would look the way they want it to?
Okay, so yeah, I saw that too. I was just going to try to ignore it. So there's a couple different ways that we could do. We can kind of pull the letters individually, which I didn't show you exactly what I was doing. Keyboard shortcut in Hatch is H. Otherwise, it is, I forgot, reshape up here. And then there's a couple different nodes. So one of the things we can do is we can slide these letters. I could slide one to the left a little bit, one to the right to kind of even it out. That is a very easy way of doing it. Still a little bit off, but I'm going to move the R to the right a little bit. And I can always bring the L to the right more if I wanted. And that's decent enough in my case. That's telling me that this probably wasn't the right. Yeah, I'm over the recommended font size for this. Oh, wait, no, that's not the right font.
You're at 10 millimeters, aren't you? No, you're at 33.
Yeah, I'm at 33 over 25. So do as I say, not as I do, I guess. That applies here. That's probably why that didn't work very well for this font. But
those are recommendations.
Yeah, they're meant to be exceeded. That's why they have the police that'll come after you. Need the swatting sound effect. Open up. But anyways, or was that the correct way that you would have done, Jeff?
No. I mean, correct way. It's a way that will work, but it's not the way that I would have done it. I would have actually edited the nodes of the letter.
Yeah, so I can show that too, because why not? So in order to actually edit the letter in Hatch, you can't just like click on it and edit it. You actually have to break the object apart. And I got to remember where that one is. I think it's edit objects, break apart. So now you'll see I have each letter as individual. And now I can edit these after I break it apart once more. And then I have to break the other letter apart once more. And now I can grab each of these shapes and I can tweak it a little bit. And that looks a little funky with it being brought in like that. That's how Jeff would have did it.
No. If you
that is how Jeff would have done it.
Put it all back into text. So we'll see if this works. I know that this works in Embroidery Studio. I'm pretty sure that it works in Hatch. If you go into the reshape mode, oh, you have to get it back as a text object. Yep. So if you're a text object, go back to reshape. So H. Yep. And now click on the outline of the letter. And now you can edit the nodes without breaking it apart. And that will preserve it as a text object. So if you do want to make a change to the spelling or something, you can, but if you make a change to the spelling, it will likely blow away these little edits that you've done.
That works too. Was that something new in Hatch 3?
No, it's been there a while.
Okay, well, it wasn't there in Hatch 1, at least that I'm aware of. Either that or I just didn't know better, because the last time I used Hatch 1 was, what, 2019, 20, whatever, before they
it's been a hot minute.
Actually, no, Hatch 1 would have been even before that, because that would have been before we met, because I bought 2. Whatever, doesn't matter. We're just wasting. Okay, so now back into the thing that we were going to do is the offset. So we go under create layouts, create offsets and outlines and offsets. And I don't remember what I did, if it was like 5 millimeter. Let me see.
So Matt measured with
the M key. Press M.
There you go.
Click,
the M key.
But I'm going to do 5.5 just because
Okay.
I want it a little bit further away. 5.5. All right, so now we have our outline and we're done. No, just kidding. So I'm going to move this up and I'm going to duplicate it with Control D, or you could right click and duplicate. And then we got to go to outline, and then we're going to make it a satin. And because I don't remember what my width was, yeah, 3.83 apparently.
Yeah, I'd go like a 4. I bet you had it at a 4 and you scaled it.
I did. That's what it was. Because it was too big and it was going to hit my hoop. That's right. Okay.
That is a valid concern.
Just a little bit. So now this design right now would work for like a twill type application, because you don't have that pile, you don't have extra loft on top of it. You're not going to have those issues. Depending on the type of twill you're using, if you're using something more open weave, you might want to increase your density a little bit, just because of, needle penetrations, or the needle being deflected into the weave of the thread, which will give it that kind of stair stepping on certain twills. And the density, just increasing it a little bit, not a lot, can kind of help mitigate it. But because we are going to be using this stuff that I have here.
Micro fleece.
Yes, micro fleece. Thanks, Jeff. It's been a long day. We're going to go and we're going to change the underlay is what we're going to actually do. So if I go back
quick before we do that, Matt, how big is your sew area in your hoop that you're going to be using?
It is the 5.5, so less than that. I don't actually know what it is. I only run one design on it, and it fits.
Well, it's good that it fits.
Yeah, so about 4 3/4 is what I'd be comfortable running.
Comfortable running. Okay, so how would they be able to look at this and tell if it's going to fit in inches?
That's a good question, because this is something that I forgot how to do in Hatch, which is why he brought it up. So I felt really stupid because I asked Jeff, I'm like, Jeff, how do you, and then I clicked escape and then it was there. So one of the issues that I had is my dimension bar is in, metric. And I couldn't remember. It's like, I know it's a drop down somewhere. And then I just happened to click off and up there it is. So you have to deselect your objects. So click the background, hit escape, whatever. Then change this to US. And now if I click it, we can see. So I'm going to hit Control A just to select everything. And we're going to see that we're at a 4.3. So we're good. And it is accounting for the actual border. So obviously this is the edge right here of the actual object in Wilcom. But because we're doing a satin, it is actually counting the outside here. And you can tell that by the little grab nodes on the edge. So it is
something very important to point out, is that it is accounting for that, because some software does not. And so you'll end up having an object that should fit, but then these stitches extend out far enough out that it won't, and you'll start hitting a hoop. So it's very important to know what the physical actual size of the stitches are versus the object.
I don't know if this has been fixed. I probably shouldn't say it, but I do think that jagged edges are not accounted for in either Hatch or Embroidery Studio. I mean, that was when I did that design, it was it 4.2?
That was no, it'd have been 4.5. But I
don't know.
Would tend to agree, because that's where I ran into it, is when you're doing the jagged edge, the stitches can extend out past it, and it won't account for that when it's telling you the size.
And
now, Max.
Yeah, I don't have a patch that I can show what jagged is real quick, but we're not going to worry about that. That's a question, or maybe a topic for a short. I don't know. Subscribe. But we want to keep going because we're kind of using up time. So I have the old example just pulled back up real quick. I'm going to double click it, and I'm going to put it back in the metric. Let's see. We're going to look at stitching. So what we're going to change is our underlay because we want to prevent that pile from kind of puckering through. We're basically going to leave the underlay 1 as edge run, just because you want to get the nice clean edges. And then you're going to go to underlay 2, and we're actually going to change this from a zigzag to a double zigzag. And we're also going to change the stitch spacing. So let's actually do that. So this is actually going to, does this actually not even have a second underlay? So first underlay said edge run, underlay 2, double zigzag, and it defaults to 3 millimeters. We're going to change it to 2, which is going to increase the number of stitches. So it's going to make it denser. It's kind of weird because you think you put a lower number, it's going to reduce it. No, it's because every 2 millimeters now it's going to add in extra stitching. So it's kind of backwards, but it works. Now we're going to look at the red one. Same thing. Edge run, double zigzag, a 2, and that's pretty much it. So we're going to go back in, click red, edge run. See, this one is already a zigzag because this is text. This is what it defaulted to. That's what the digitizer of script 2 set it. Now we're going to do double zigzag, and then we're going to make this a 2 as well. So now I have my design. That's literally it. If I were to do any other name, I just got to follow the same steps. It's pretty straightforward. And now the only thing I got to do is export it to my USB drive and load it into my Tajima. And it stopped flashing, so I'm going to go throw it over there. And then actually I'll hoop up the stuff too.
We should probably hoop up the stuff.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Okay. So yeah, here's the, I don't know. Yeah, you guys can see it. Here's the first one I did. That one, no bueno. So I'm going to grab an extra piece of fleece. If you don't like how I just cut out a random chunk out of this material, feel free to make fun of me because I don't like that I do it that way too, because then I unroll it and then it's all cut up and then I yell at myself later. Maybe that's another short. Things Matt does that you shouldn't do and he shouldn't do either.
One of those, it drives OCD people nuts things.
Yeah. So Jeff is getting ready to shoot me with, hey Matt, what material are you using? Well, that's a great question.
What material are you using?
So this is just a 2.5 ounce cutaway stabilizer. And I'm basically using it for obviously to stabilize it and to kind of float it into the hoop. Because the piece I cut is very conveniently just the size of the hoop, but we're going to pretend it's not. So I guess I could just cut it so it's not, but that requires more work. And we'll just throw that on the floor. And then grab my hoop.
Magic.
And yes, I could put the fabric on it right away, but I'm going to show you how to float it. And then we're going to do the same colors that I had before, not what's on the wheel. I guess I could do that. Yeah, why not? It'd probably make it look better anyways. So I got, what is it? Border is blue. So I need 4, 6. Yeah, I don't have the colors on the machine, the correct colors, but not a big deal. And then to trace it, the only times I ever actually trace it is when we're doing Facebook Lives.
Well, that's good. That means you won't hit the hoop on Facebook Live.
Okay, and then I'm going to run the first design or the first object. Okay, so there's my placement. So if you were doing it, you could fully cut out your piece if you wanted, if you use like a silhouette or something or a laser cutter. I'm not going to do that. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to spray this fabric with, yeah, you can see it. I don't know if this is reversed or backwards for you, but it's backwards on the screen for me.
It's correct.
But I'm just going to spray it away from the machine, and it'll just be like a spritz back and forth, and that's it. Okay, and then I'm just going to cover it up. And put it back in. And we go again.
And if you have questions for Matt while this sews, fire them off and I'll pull them up.
All right, so do we have any questions or anything yet?
Not that I've seen. All right, so we do have a question, and it is from Anne. And she says, if this is a patch, when does he cut the fabric?
So that's a good question. So depending on, hopefully I'm not yelling at you guys. I'm trying to talk over the noise in the room right now. I said before with the placement stitch, you could do like an applique where you cut it out before you embroider. In this case, because you saw I didn't cut it out yet, I'm going to do it after I take it off the machine. And because it's a microfiber material, it actually kind of melts, or it doesn't melt away, but just kind of disappears when I hit it with the lighter. Obviously, I did that with a very small piece, just kind of test it, make sure that it didn't, burn my house down like that one live. Which we should have that blooper saved somewhere.
So he'll end up cutting this after it's all sewn out and done. Kind of it's a hybrid hot cut method. So you'll see a hot cut method out there where people will cut with a hot knife. He's going to end up cutting it with scissors and burning it back a little bit. So it's the same kind of effect. It's just there's going to be less material that is going to glob up on the outside edge next to the stitches.
Yeah. The way I'm going to do it, I'll caveat that you want to have your stabilizer be the same color or a lighter shade of the color than your border will be in your fabric, ideally. Because if I did a white fleece with a black stabilizer, no matter what I do, you're going to see that on the edge. Whether you're going to see the black, and it's going to be pretty obvious. So that's why I'm using white. Now, if you're doing something like a green, I would probably use the white just because it's a little less distracting than a black one would be. But yeah, that's the way I would do it.
All right, I'm going to grab the second question here. Janine asks, will the glue affect the next job? How often do you clean it?
So I spray it on, I'm going to answer both of these at the same time. So I sprayed on the stabilizer, on the fabric, because if I sprayed it on the actual stabilizer while it's in the hoop, then your hoops get really messy and then they get really gummed up, and then you have to use like glue off or something. So that's where, for this question, the glue won't affect anything. Obviously, your needles will get gummed up over time, but the amount of glue that I'm using is very minimal. It's basically just to prevent the shifting for the initial sewing. And there's other ways you could do too. If you're worried about it, you can just do that front stitch again, just kind of tack it down. But we tried this way and we didn't have an issue with it. I can grab a hoop. This hoop here, you can see it kind of gummed up and just kind of nasty. This is from me using the stabilizer, hooping and then spraying.
Matt, you're going to have to come back over by your computer and say that again.
Sorry, you can say that again?
You're going to have to come back over by your computer and say that again. The noise canceling drowned you out.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so I don't spray the material in the hoop because it just gets on the hoop and then it gets messy. If you have to do it in the hoop or on the machine, I recommend masking the machine. So I've done it where I just have like a piece of cardstock and I just kind of hold it up against the machine and spray it that way. But I haven't done that in a long time. I always recommend doing it away from the machine because your machine already gets enough lint and dust and everything built up in it underneath that Tajima cover. There's oil in there. It'll absorb all the dust and the lint and everything. So it's just one more thing to keep your machines clean and running efficiently.
That's why Matt has a Chipotle box.
Yeah, we're finishing up the border. We are sewing at 830 stitches per minute.
And Anne, it shows that you put up a comment, but it doesn't show us what that comment was. So if you want to type it again, we'll be happy to answer it if it's a question.
So, because I'm curious, what machines does all of our viewers have? Drop the name and the brand and maybe where you got it from, just out of curiosity. As you can see, this is my Tajima. This is the TFMX 21501, something along that lines, 2007, I believe. Jeff and I went literally the next day when it posted on Facebook to go pick it up. It was an absolute steal. And then I got my two happies in the background for now, and here's to see what everyone else has. I see Ramona's comment here that she stitched patches today at 1,200 stitches per minute. That is very fast. I don't know. Like, obviously, my Tajima can go up to, I think, 1,000, but I don't run it at that just because it's not really a need to. But there's I think Jeff knows about it. There's a ZSK that does like 2,000 SPM or something, I think, right?
Yep, I think they call it the Rocket. It's fast.
Okay, so let's bring this guy. We'll zoom it out, just so that, because if it's zoomed out further, you get less sick. Okay, let's try this. So I got a little lucky there with my edge here. It got pretty dang close. So that's why I do your placement line. That was success. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unhoop it. And then throw that off to the side. And I always clip my threads immediately after I take it off the machine, because I like doing it that way. So obviously there's a couple different methods we could do this. You could use a hot knife machine. I will not. This is the one that I use for other patches. I won't use this just because I don't like the edge that it creates. Kind of cauterizes it, and I'm not a fan. So very rarely do I do that. If I do use the hot knife, it would be for something irregular like this patch here, if I'm not using the laser cutter. But because we're going to use a method that most of you have, I'm going to use this scissors. So this is a spring-loaded Friskers, easy action scissors. So I'm just going to cut. I'm going to use the big one first to make it easier to hold. So basically, because I already tested this and I know that this material is going to dissolve pretty well, I guess I can hit this button. And now you can see it, as long as I hold it there. I'm just going to cut close to it.
I'm impressed at the cutting skill, because you guys wouldn't believe how hard it is to cut something with your head back so that the camera can see it.
And yeah, this is about as close. So it is basically one scissor blade. Now, the more you do this, the faster and better you will be able to do it, which is why I highly recommend one of these. And do not use these scissors for anything other than fabric. I used it recently for something other than that, and now there's a spot that doesn't work very well. And this is the part where we speed it up. We can play some music. Yeah, I think at the tip, it's not cutting very well. And I don't have to be super precise with this in all the corners, because it will melt away. So like you might be able to see here, there's a lot in that corner, there's a lot there. It's pretty variable. But the next step,
after you melt some too, you can always trim a little bit more off if it's not where you like it.
that is also true. Another caveat with these scissors is they are very sharp and they are very pointy, and they don't discriminate against human flesh. So be careful with that. So here's our patch. The next thing I'm going to do is we're going to get rid of the little white sticking out on the side. Now you could leave it. It gives it kind of a homemade look, but we are going to go a step further. I'm going to get rid of all this crap. So now what you're going to do is you're going to grab a standard lighter and just hit it real quick. And you don't want to linger too long, especially since it's white. It could stain it with the smoke. So like for an example, in the corners there, I didn't get it maybe to my liking. I can very easily take the scissors and I can come in and just cut a little bit more out. Realistically, I would have left this, but it's demonstrating. And because I cut that, it's a live edge now. I can come with the heat and it sucked it in. So you probably couldn't even really tell the difference, but right there, it took a lot of it away. But
so Matt, I have a random what if, because you're right there and it's easy to show. What if I linger in one spot too long, or I accidentally nick a border thread and it pops up?
Well, let me grab this one then. Okay, I'm not going to cut the whole thing out because this one has a lot more edges. Watch me cut the whole thing out.
Oh, Barb says that Fiskars has a sharpener you can buy, Matt. Well, and Ramona asks, what about the scorching?
Okay, so I actually did cut some threads right there. I don't know if you can see it right there. You might be able to see it. I can get it.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, cool. So it is focusing on my hands now. So what you can do is, if you're quick, you can just tack the thread real quick and kind of smush it back down, and it sometimes will close it. If you cut too much, you're kind of hosed. But I don't know if you can see all this fuzz here. This is going to pretty much dissolve immediately. I don't know if I can show that. I don't want it to focus so big. There we go. You see how fast it just kind of shrinks and starts on fire there? Told you it would happen. Okay, I'm going to cancel the focusing.
So Barb asks, what about fray check?
So I do have fray check, but I don't use it. In fact, it probably turned into super glue now. I'll come back to that just because I don't want to forget this. So I held it a little too long. You can see that the blue started turning black maybe. Right there. The back side, it's getting a little smoky. I don't know if I can really make it do it. You don't want to do it upside down because now it's singed all the pile on it. And I can demonstrate that by running it through. I guess you can't really see that.
Back it up a little bit.
right,
just a little dirty right there.
You can see a little bit of texture change. That's probably more likely what you're going to see versus, like, I can physically see that it's scorched a little bit. But yeah, you just got to be careful with that. That's why I said you just go around really quick, like even right here. My issue is going to be the stabilizer, actually. Is you can see how much it just kind of shrinks that in, just cleans it up. So there's that. Going back to the fray check, if I even find it, because I might not even have it anymore. I think it actually turned into super glue and I just threw it away. Yeah, I don't even, wait, no, it's over here. Maybe. Okay, I don't actually have it anymore. Fray check is one of the things you can do. If you did get the border nicked, you can use that to kind of glue it back down. That's the only reason I've used it before. But
I will say, if you put fray check down first and then try to hit it with a flame, fray check is flammable.
That is true. So be careful about your materials. So that is it for the patch, but there's one more step that we're going to do to this yet. I got to grab it though. Okay, that is the wrong stuff. I thought I had a smaller package, but I don't. Let's back this guy out. So here is my 75-yard supply of heat and bond. This was really affordable. I don't remember how much it was. I got it from my local sewing supply store. But I'm just going to take a little bit of this. This is basically iron-on adhesive. Trying to cut this at an angle. And I'll put that away later. AKA never. And that is the material. So it is both heat pressable and ironable. I normally use a heat press, but I do have an iron. Now I just don't have an outlet nearby for it. So I gotta reach under the Tajima in the Narnia. Okay. Jeff's like, what kind of drugs is Matt on today? Did my camera freeze? Oh, no. No, it did not.
You're good.
All right, so I'm just waiting for the iron to heat up a little bit.
I like your ironing board.
I know, I don't actually have anything official. It's better than doing it on these tabletops. Because you don't want the tabletop to lose the slippery factor, whatever that's called.
Delaminate.
Yes, that. Usually when I do heat and bond, I do it before I cut it, especially if I'm doing a lot of patches. Jeff doesn't do it that way, so that's why we're doing it this way. And also,
yeah, I'm more do it the way that Matt's doing it right now.
Because the way I do it normally is I have my big sash frame full of patches. So like this is an example here, but I'll have like, 60 patches in one hoop, and I can literally unroll this whole heat and bond across the whole thing, and I just iron it real quick to apply it, and then I cut it up, and then I heat press it, and then I use my laser to do it. So that saves me time, but this is also going to work as well. Just tack it down real quick, and then I'll just permanently affix it. And of course, I didn't read the instructions, so I don't actually know how long it's supposed to be or what temperature.
Till it sticks.
Yeah, it's basically the gist of it. Please hold. And someone's sending me Discord messages, but I can't read it, so. Okay.
It's actually Barb showing some patches off in the show and tell area of our Discord.
Oh, wow, that's convenient. So now I'm just trying to separate it real quick, which this is why I pre-cut it. And then you just pluck off the extra.
Hit it with a quick flame and you'll be golden.
Yep, and I will do that too. And there is my patch. Up. Right.
Just hold still. You got it.
Okay.
Official thumbs up.
I'm going to go back to my computer over there, and then we can answer questions and close out. And we'll bring Jeff back up, so I'm not alone.
You should be alone. Here, we'll move me over here so it looks like I'm looking at you.
So mean to me. Okay. So I don't know if we had any other questions. I know Jeff has to get to an appointment or a scheduled event. So we need to wrap this up pretty quick because this went a little bit longer because we like to chat.
Talk. Yeah, it's fun. All right. Well, if you guys do have questions, you can always ask them in the Facebook group or you can drop them in the Discord. And not only will you get our answers if you do that, you'll get everybody else's in the communities. Oh, here's a good question. Janine asks, can we see this video later too? You can. It's actually on our YouTube channel. It'll be posted there as a recording. So you could go to the Embroidery Nerd on YouTube and it will live there in infamousy. There we go. Forever.
Yep. Don't forget to subscribe. Currently, we're at 3.13 thousand subscribers, and we have like over 10,000, I think, on Facebook. So it'd be really cool to have the numbers mirror each other for, favoring the Facebook numbers, obviously. But yeah, we have a lot of cool content coming in the next couple months, almost every single business day. Well, yeah, every business day. Yeah. So I think
all right. Well,
close her up.
Some announcements is Matt and I will be at SPSI up in Minnesota. They're going to be hosting an open house and we will be teaching all about patches, how to make them, as well as it'll be a hands-on workshop. So we will be making the patches and trying the different border styles out. So you guys can figure out what will work best in your workflow. Other announcements, I don't have any. Unless you do.
Now this is just a preview of what it is. So if you're already signed up, you're golden. Be excited to see everyone there. If you're not, unfortunately, registration closed already. So you'll just have to stay tuned for maybe next year. I don't know.
I don't know if they closed or they still had a couple of slots, but it is next week.
Yeah, it is. So it's pretty right around the corner.
Yep. All right. So with that, everybody, we have Matthew Enderley from Patch Phrase, and I'm Jeff Fuller from Fuller Embroidery Works. We'd like to thank you guys for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you next time.
Have a good night.